gentleman, Tina, please, from the Marshall Islands. Thank you for being here with us today. Could you give us your name and tell us your work?
Hi, my name is Kathy. I am a poet and activist from the Marshall Islands.
Can you describe the physical layout of the Marshall Islands?
The Marshall Islands is a low-lying atoll, which means that we're only 1 meter above sea level. There's no mountain. There are certain islands that are actually just the size of this building or even smaller. You can see the ocean on either side of you, and so we're a very, very vulnerable country.
You live on Hydro, which is the capital?
Yes.
How many people live in the Marshall Islands?
There are 60,000 people living in the Marshall Islands right now, about.
And the Marshall Islands were used previously as a testing site for atomic weapons?
Yes, the United States government actually tested over 16 nuclear weapons in the Marshall Islands, completely incinerated some of our islands. So where there used to be an island, there's actually a crater. We also have radiation. We have some of the highest cancer rates in the world.
Can you describe the events several times in the last year, these so-called king tides? Can you describe what happens in Europe and other islands?
Well, these king tides are basically seasons when tides are at the highest. So because we're only 1 meter above sea level, when we have as simple as a thing as a high tide, the water will actually go over, crash into our homes, completely obliterate houses. My cousin actually lost her own house. She's been living her whole life.
Tell us that story.
Well, she was saying that she was asleep. She just got fallen asleep. She was writing a journal. She fell asleep, and she suddenly woke up to water creeping into her house. And her mother woke her up, shaking her, saying, "Hey, we have to leave." Her journal and everything was just completely soaked, and so she had to get up and leave. And she said that at one point she turned around, and when they were leaving, when she turned back again, a huge wave came and just knocked the entire foundation of the house over.
Right. It's correct that even the dead on the Marshall Islands are covered by these risings.
Yes, so there's a specific area in the Marshall Islands on Mandro where we have a grave site. And this grave site is actually getting washed out into the ocean. So even our dead are becoming affected by these climate change.
Could you describe the state of mind of people in the Marshall Islands? What is it like to live with the ocean, the water that's rising?
We're living in a lot of fear. We're living in a lot of fear that we would prefer to push back and not necessarily think about on a daily basis. I myself have confronted that fear, that we could be losing our livelihoods, we could lose our land, we could lose our culture. And that kind of fear is haunting because, if we lose our land, we lose our identity, we lose who we are as a people.
Where would people go?
We don't know. We don't know where we would go. There's certain islands that have, relationships with bigger nations, bigger countries. We do have a relationship with the United States right now under the Compact of Free Association. However, what we're campaigning for, what we tell everyone, is that we shouldn't have to go anywhere. And we shouldn't have to have a policy of an evacuation strategy.
How long have people lived on the Marshall Islands?
We've been living there for 2,000 years. Yeah, 2,000 years. Over 2,000 years. Yeah.
2,000 years. In that time, the ocean has stayed at a level that made it possible to life there.
Yes, actually, we just went out to visit an island just this past weekend, and we were told we went underwater. That island went underwater within 10 years. Just 10 years ago, the island was lush. It had trees, it had coconut trees, it had animals. Within 10 years, this island is already gone.
So within the last 25 years,
yeah,
period of time that Exxon, for instance, knew about climate
change. Actually, yes. I talked to my elders, and none of them has seen anything like this in their entire lives. It's just getting worse now. So yes, within that time period.
Thank you very much. No further questions.
Thank you.
I'd like to call Jagdeep Gupta from Third Network.
My name is Jaideep Gupta. I'm a journalist. I'm a reporter. I work for the thirdpole.net, which is an environment news website covering the entire Himalayas from Afghanistan to China.
So you're a trained observer. In your work, in your reporting, have you noticed changes in the air quality in Indian cities?
Yes, very much so.
Tell us about that.
The air quality is right now in a situation in the city where I live, Delhi, where it competes very regularly with Beijing to be called the most polluted city in the world.
What does this mean practically for people living there and other cities? Tell us more about that.
More asthma, more colds, more respiratory diseases of all kinds.
And what are the major drivers of that?
Major drivers of that are transport, using thermal power plants, and that would be it.
So you participated in many of these international conferences before. In your reporting, what can you tell us about the influence of fossil fuel companies on these proceedings?
Well, at the back, and very rarely reported actually, because one doesn't get to see them. You have to go to these so-called bingo rooms. It's a different kind of a bingo game out there, often behind closed doors.
So is there any reason to believe that the presence of these fossil fuel companies shapes the outcome or what governments bring to the table?
I'm not a negotiator, so I can't tell you what goes behind in their minds. I report what they do and what they say. And yes, as somebody who's been reporting on that since 1992, I can tell you that their negotiations are disappointing to say the least.
About the push for solar energy in Bangladesh, because one of the things we hear has to do with fossil fuels being the only alternative new way to bring energy to the world. Is this true in our experience?
As of right now, it's becoming less and less true every day as solar prices, wind prices, gas prices. So yes, if you ask me today, the difference there is probably 0.5%. It's still at that point, we are about to reach the point where even without taking any of the external costs of coal-fired power plants into account, it will be economically feasible to move to renewables.
Have you followed the revelations about Exxon?
Yes,
What is your reaction? Can you share your reaction to these revelations?
my reaction is that it was a story missed by all of us. And we should have got the story much earlier. And yes, the world would have possibly have been a happier place if we had not missed the story.
Thank you for your testimony.
The prosecution would call a nice softness. Thank you very much for joining us today. Can you tell us your name and describe your work, please?
My name is Yannis Stefansson, and I'm Sami from the Arctic. I was born and I live in a reindeer herding family.
Really? Tell us about the role of reindeer in the Sami culture and economy.
It's a center. It's our identity, our traditions, and it's the thing I strive to protect each and every day.
Your family engages in reindeer herding.
Yes.
How does one family keep its reindeer apart from another? How do you know your own reindeer?
The reindeers are migrating, and we are followers, nomads. They are migrating from the summer to winter lands, and it's very long migrations. But sometimes they're stopped, as now. My colleague, he was going up to the mountains to get the reindeers down to the winter area where there are good vegetation. He cannot cross the rivers. They have not frozen yet. The reindeers cannot come over because they can't get over the rivers and the lakes.
Do you know how long the Sami have been engaged in reindeer herding in this part of the world?
as long as anyone remembers.
Many thousands of years.
Yes.
And in that period of time, they've been able to continue this work without interruption.
Yes.
What has that begun? You indicated that that's begun to change in recent years.
So the temperature are increasing and decreasing, which we have never seen in such a way, and each and every day is different. Usually, I've heard stories about good winters, right? Where we have to be out tending for the radius or digging holes so they can reach to eat the food. But with the increase and decrease of temperature, there are ice crusts on the snow, which makes the reindeer unable to smell the food underneath, and therefore it will not dig for it. And even if they try, it's not strong enough, so they start to dead.
So because of these freeze-thaw cycles, it's becoming difficult for the reindeer to access their forage.
The food. Yeah, we have had bad winters as such, as long as I can remember in my whole generation. We are the generation of climate change.
When your parents and grandparents, did they notice this change and describe it to you? Talk about it with you?
Yes, each and every day, constantly, and it's what I grew up with, and therefore I studied science, and therefore I'm engaged in climate change. So,
are people? Would you describe people as sad, as angry, as resigned?
devastated,
Devastated,
stressed, devastated, and we are dying also. The ices are not. They're not. We cannot breathe it, and the animals cannot breathe the ices on the legs. And we go through, and they go through. Yeah.
Really?
Avalanches are erupting in places they should be safe.
Have you known people who've fallen through the ice?
Of course.
Can you tell us an account of that?
I've had friends.
Describe.
And I've had family members. My grandfather's. She went through the ice and never came back.
She was she was walking. She was skiing.
Yes.
And just went through a place that she thought that it was safe because traditionally it had been safe.
Yes.
And she went straight through.
Yes.
My colleague, Mr. Powell, reminds me of an important question. Since you know this role well, would you say that the CEO of Exxon makes some years $35 million? Is that more or less than the average reindeer herder the culture makes?
Whatever reindeer herding generates cannot be measured in money.
I'm not sure that the CEO of Exxon ever said that. So thank you very, very much for your testimony here today. It's most helpful. Thank you.
I'd like to call up Faith Camille.
Faith Camille. It's I which in Pit River I'm related to, and I'm from Tricol, Arctic, Alaska, and I'm the executive director of existing environmental construction on indigenous lands. How long have your people been on those lands? Over 20,000 years.
Tell us about that. How are you able to do that?
Through ancestral knowledge and later through anthropology.
What are the effects of climate change in the region where you live? Tell us about how it is playing out.
The impacts are devastating in Alaska. When I talk about climate change, I say Alaska's ground zero. And we're the canary in the mine. And the canary is dying. The impacts we see are very real. Every day, right like this past summer, there were over 300 plus fires in the state of Alaska where whole communities and indigenous communities had to be emergency evacuated, and the planes and could not even fly in to evacuate people, so they had to take by boats.
Are fires extraordinary events in Alaska?
Yes, and it devastated whole communities where all the land around the communities have been destroyed.
20 years ago, is this something that would happen? To your knowledge?
No, it's recent, and it's happening more and more in the summertime. We're seeing so many fires, so many communities that have to be evacuated. It's an emergency situation, and there's not enough resources within the state of Alaska to actually address the fires. No personnel, there's not enough personnel, so they just have a leopard policy.
Can you share some of the impacts on culture, tradition, way of life?
Climate change is disrupting the natural habitat of all the species of animals in Alaska. And the indigenous people of Alaska, we rely on the land to provide for all of our needs, as we subsist from the land. So they provide for our food security. And when the animal populations are in decline, it impacts indigenous communities. So there's salmon populations in decline where the people actually have to put their own moratorium in place and not take salmon some summers, which devastates those communities because they don't have enough to survive through the winter. In my community, the porcupine caribou herd, 1 year the caribou was slowed by heavy snows from going to their camping grounds, which is in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. And they were forced to drop their young on the south side of the river. And when that happened, they were crossing the river. The young tried to follow the mothers because the mothers still have a natural drive to go to the Arctic Refuge because that's the only safe place for their babies. All their young could make it across the river and they drowned. We lost 43,000 calves that year. And for the Wichin people, we believe we're one part of the caribou. So for us, that was devastating to our nation. And right now, Exxon is actually one of the companies that's still trying to drill in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. And the Wichin Nation has been fighting for 30 years to hold the line and protect that place because in our language, we call it Bijik Witsanbundaigu, means the sacred place where life begins. And that's not only the birthplace for 186,000 36 species of fish, and that's what this company wants to drill for oil. And so we need everyone's support on that issue. It's the last 5% of Alaska's Arctic coast that's still protected.
We heard previous testimony describing young people today as the climate change generation. Are there mental health impacts to living with these changes that you can describe?
Yes, because indigenous communities, when I say we subsist from the land, it's not just about food security. It's about our culture, our spirituality, our economy. Everything we are as a people is tied to the land. And so any disruptions affect us. And the very social fabric of our communities, it affects the social fabric. And so it also affects the health of the people. And when the community is stressed, you see devastating impacts and health impacts in the community. So we see a lot of consequences now in Alaska, with social statistics rising that we've never seen before.
Can you speak a little bit more about those statistics?
People have to move out of communities, so they're moving into cities, and that means assimilating to another culture, another foreign system, and that's not easy. And so there is a rise in diabetes, there's a rise in other health issues, there's rising social statistics. There's so many social statistics in Alaska, and it goes all the way back to the 1970s when Prudhoe Bay oil field was discovered.
Well, I also want to speak to you about the Exxon Valley disaster. This is one of the largest environmental disasters anywhere in the world, and it took place in Alaska. Can you speak about the impact of that spill?
The impact of that spill was 22 species were impacted. Out of those species, from what I understand, only 2 have been recovered, but millions of gallons of oil were spilled. And some statistics say it was 11 million gallons or 257,000 barrels of oil, which impacted 1,300 miles. And there was many indigenous communities that were impacted by that spill. Today, if you walk on the beaches in Prince William Sound, you lift the rock in certain areas, there's still oil. And it's still fresh, and it still smells as if it was spilled yesterday. It hasn't come up. And there's still impacts to this day. The communities that were impacted, the people trying to help clean up the spill. And they have made they are still feeling it.
What kind of impacts?
Upper respiratory illnesses. I have a very good friend who can't do this in Alaska because of his chest and upper respiratory illnesses that are still.
One of the things we know because of these investigations into Exxon in recent months is that as they were researching climate change far back in the 1970s, they were interested in the economic possibilities to present because ice would melt. And did you have a reaction to hearing that Exxon saw this as a profit-making opportunity?
It makes me angry. It makes me angry because we are ground zero. Arctic communities are ground zero. My children are going to be devastated by what's happening. And we have to do something. That makes me angry that they knew. And they're still trying to drill into places like our refuge, but also they've already devastated a whole ecosystem in Alaska. And they knew what they were doing. So it makes me angry because it affects my children, their children, all of our children.
Thank you for your testimony.
Your Honor, if it's all right, we'll stay with this theme of the switch to the science side of this equation. We'd like to call Jason Box. Mr. Box, could you describe your work, please?
I'm a climatologist and glaciologist. We've been installing and maintaining a network of measurements on the surface of the Greenland ice sheet for the last 20 years. And part of our work is to publish articles. So I managed to be involved in about 90 externally reviewed scientific articles and contributed to the last 2 intergovernmental panel on climate change reports.
And you lectured for a decade at various universities.
I was a university professor at the Ohio State University teaching environmental science and climatology.
And how many years, summer seasons have you spent on Greenland?
I've been camping on Greenland for more than the last 20 years, so I've added up more than a year camping on ice. And we have a network of 40 stations distributed across the entire Greenland ice sheet.
They go from the high points of the center of Greenland down to the coast.
we have 20 stations located around the periphery, ice sheet where it melts the most. And then another stations up in the accumulation area where the ice sheet is fed by snow.
In the broadest terms, what's now happening on Greenland?
Greenland is losing ice at an accelerating rate. There's been a surge in temperatures, and ice sheets are threshold systems. They're either balanced or out of balance. And we see Greenland growing in a little ice age that ended since 1900. Since then, the ice sheet is gigantic into the sea, equivalent to almost a millimeter per year in years like 2012.
A millimeter of sea level rise.
Global sea level rise.
In the course of this century now, what's the potential loss of ice in terms of sea level rise?
One way to think about the future that we're faced with is that, unfortunately, we are committed to about 1 meter of global sea level rise, and we could have several meters more. And that depends on policies. So the science is telling us that any which path we follow, that we can see significant differences. So it's true you're not beyond the threshold right now, but it's really how far beyond the threshold it gets pushed by warming. That just determines how quickly sea level rises. So mitigation matters.
It's your understanding that the same thing is happening with ice elsewhere around the world?
Yeah, the story from Antarctica is more alarming because there's 9 times more volume of ice on Antarctica, and there are a number of processes linked with ocean warming that are reinforcing it in ways that multiply the response of the ice sheets. Just a few days ago, we learned of a new mechanism that the increased discharge of ice as glaciers are accelerating introduces a freshwater layer at the surface of the ocean that prevents the warm waters to radiate to space. And so that heat accumulates underwater and it's undercutting the Antarctic ice. This is kind of another surprise factor that can produce a very fast response of large ice to climate change.
In your experience, sea level rise of several meters, which you say is possible in the 20th century.
We can't rule out meters of sea level. I wish I could tell you precisely, 2.5 meters, 1.5. But the best that we can say is we're committed to 1 meter by the end of this century, very likely, and we can't rule out several meters.
You've heard testimony already today from people who live not more than a meter above sea level. How does that make you feel?
Hearing that really, for the first time, really struck me. Just hearing that 20 minutes ago, that the Marshall Islands are just 1 meter of sea level, and that NASA tells us we're committed to 1 meter. That's deserving.
You're conversing with the larger field of climatology. You taught many aspects of this.
Right, I taught kind of what I call textbook climatology. There's some very good textbooks out there, and by teaching that's a great way to make it down. That makes the research better.
Well, drawing on that textbook knowledge, let me ask you a couple of questions about the positions that Exxon has taken over the years. In 1997, the CEO of the then CEO of Exxon, Lee Raymond, testified in a speech in Beijing, in which he said that the globe had been cooling for the last 20 years. To the best of your knowledge, are there data sets that indicate that the globe has cooled as a whole any time in the last few decades?
The best way to take the temperature of the climate is to measure the heat content of the oceans. And those have been steadily rising at an accelerated rate in the past 5 decades. The air temperature record that we are fixated on has more influence of weather and factors like El Nino, which is going on right now at record levels. And that pushes air temperatures up. La Nina pushes air temperatures down. So
But in general, the trend has been steadily One of the other things that the CEO of Exxon said in 1997 was that it would make no practical difference whether policies to control global warming were enacted in 1997 or whether we waited 20 years, as we have done. Do you think that it will, in your opinion, have made a significant difference that we waited these 20 years to act?
Well, it's interesting that Lee Reagan would make that statement in 1997 because the previous science team from Exxon was even saying there was a growing impact of elevated CO2 in the atmosphere on warming. Meanwhile, also the global scientific community is running different scenarios. The business as usual scenario, no regulation, and that's associated with more warming than a Kyoto Protocol-like future scenario. And so if, as Lee Reagan put it, if 20 years made no difference, I just looked at the numbers on my way here today, and it, in fact, does make a difference. And by mid-century, that was the claim. And so that was a false claim. It's not supported by science.
Including the science that Exxon's own scientists were producing.
Right. So it's incredibly disingenuous what Exxon became because the science they were doing in the 80s and 70s was state-of-the-art, very well funded. And I read the reports, the clarity of that kind of science is top-notch. And they turned it into secrecy and even suppress their own scientists. And that's been this expose.
Ethically, as a scientist, how does it make you feel to know that they understood 30 years ago this situation and yet continue to pretend that it was not the case?
I feel like we have a broader issue. It's not just Exxon. It's our system that doesn't want to fairly price fossil energy, for example. I don't see the global leaders coming out and making bold claims, and the national leaders putting things on the table that are really consistent with the science. So we publish 1,000-page reports, and it feels like no one's listening.
Mr. Powell, on that point, did you have a specific question to Jason?
Well, follow-up questions. You said that mitigation matters, and you indicated also that you had read some of the Exxon disclosures. Is that right? I'd like to show you one of the Exxon disclosures. This is a June 6, 1978 document. So that's one of the documents that you reviewed from this time.
Yes, I've been halfway through this climate news report. It's fantastic, fascinating to me because it's a historical account of a corporation that growth.
And describe to me by when growth.
Well, they initially had a transparent, hardcore science profile. They were doing some of the best science in the discipline. And they then defunded those programs and then started to actively fund disinformation campaigns to perpetuate their profitability, knowing that the true cost accounting of their products would lead to some of their own scientists are concluding failed agricultural systems, drought, sea level rise, climate chaos. They knew that, but they didn't want to add that. And to, for short-term gain, to lie to the local public. And we will be paying for that for decades to come.
Well, I think you never saw these internal documents until Inside Climate News made them fail. Let me just read you a couple of sentences from page 2 of the 1978 document that I just showed you. The greenhouse effect has been the subject of a number of international scientific conferences during the past few years. These meetings have identified the information needed to definitively establish the source and ultimate significance of the CO2 increase in the atmosphere. Present thinking holds that demand has a time window of 5 to 10 years before the need for hard decisions regarding changes in energy strategies might become critical.
That's 1978. I would say that we knew enough then, and the research we've done subsequent investigators understand. The only thing I think we know more is just how more sensitive ice is anyway to this abrupt climate shift.
Thank you very much. One last question. Do you have an opinion of reasonable degree of scientific certainty as to what would have happened had Exxon, instead of taking the action of deception, not what it did, had rallied action on the science that we just heard it in 1978?
It's my professional assessment that Exxon acted in ways that were consistent with their earlier public profile. In respecting science and respecting nature, they actually had the resources and capacity to lead us on a road toward sustainability, to be an energy company instead of a fossil energy company. They could finance clean energy, and they should have, because many of those people also have kids. And so scientifically, it's a very clear case. Morally, we all have to make our own judgments individually, but it's really shocking revelations. This report, I think, it's a game changer politically on this issue.
Thank you very much. No further questions, John.
Thank you, Doctor. Can you say your name and your position, please?
My name is Cindy Baxter, and I'm the author of the website called Exxon and I've spent the last 15, 20 years researching the fossil fuel industry, finding out how.
Tell us about the work of Exxon Secrets.
Well, Exxon Secrets, we began it in 2004 when we got with journalists writing stories about climate science and balancing it with a quote from a climate skeptic. And so we put the website together in order to be able to show journalists and the public just who those climate skeptics were associated with.
Based on this research, did Exxon draw inspiration from the tobacco industry and its track record of denying the link between smoking and cancer?
Oh, absolutely. I think Exxon and all the climate scientists that works with the big cancer would directly link that to tobacco industries.
Tell us about that.
It's our product. We have the tobacco industry's doubt is our product strategy. Doubt. Yeah, our doubt is the main thing that the tobacco industry did to try and create debate around the science, so that the science of smoking cancer, so that the public wouldn't be pushing for action on tobacco control.
How did companies like Exxon emulate that strategy?
Well, it did the same sort of thing. It was the companies, it was Exxon, but it was also the climate deniers that it was funding. They're the very same people, some of them. There's one particular guy called Steve Manoy who was funded by Philip Morris and worked for an organization called the Advanced Sound Science Coalition. And he got funding from Exxon in the early 2000s, and he then went on to work on climate, on challenging the science of climate change, and helped find the tobacco industry, because they thought it would be quite a good idea if the science of tobacco and cancer, secondhand smoking cancer, was lumped in with the science of climate change, challenging science of climate change and ozone depletion, because it would be more politically correct. So the tobacco industry actually helps out climate campaigns.
Yeah, those tobacco companies were actually taken to court and held accountable for that. Based on what you've seen in the Exxon revelations, do you believe that we're going to see similar lawsuits?
But I would like to see that. I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but I would like to, because I think that if you know something, and we've seen that Exxonknew, you saw, I've been very much looking at what Exxon did next. And what they did was, they spent $51 million from 1998 to 2014 funding funds and our campaigns run by big tanks, and also hiring climate science consultants.
Do you know if they funded the Heartland Institute? And if so, tell us about the Heartland Institute and their role in denying the science of climate change.
Well, they did fund the Heartland Institute to a certain degree. They funded also the Committee for Infrastructure Tomorrow, both of them are in Paris this week. Perhaps in Australia. The Heartland Institute and CFACT have been, they've been at the very forefront of climate science. They run campaigns to get it to the American people that climate science great. They hold annual conferences, which take called scientific conferences. I think the first one was my journalist commented that when in the room for 200 people, all the time, the scientists stand up, and I think 9 people stood up. It was supposed to be a climate science conference. They were all think tanks, and many of them were under Exxon.
Now, the Heartland Institute claims that it has a lot of political influence, particularly in the United States. Based on your research, is this true? Do they have a line to lawmakers?
They do, well, they have done. I the Heartland Institute and the CFACT actually is also being funded by Exxon. That's what Mark Arano, who used to be, who's associated with CFACT, he used to be the communications director for Senator James Inhofe, who is famous for calling global warming the biggest hoax ever perpetrated on mankind.
And are you aware whether James Inhofe has ever spoken at the Heartland Institute?
James Inhofe really speaks at that conference, the Heartland Institute conference, along with a number of others, including Willie Sue, who is a scientist who works for the Smithsonian Institute, and according to my research, she has received $1.25 million in funding for science since 2001. All of that has been for the fossil fuel industry, and some of that has been from Exxon.
So it isn't just a direct funding to these think tanks, it's also funding the scientists that present their research at these gatherings.
I think the interesting thing what he's saying is that Exxon funded him for a particular piece of science. I would put that in the comments that said that the Arctic wasn't warming and the polar populations were very high.
Now, do these scientists get a media platform? Do they influence the public debate in your experience?
They absolutely do, especially in the US. I think they have they're getting a decreasing media platform now, but they've still got one. And if you're a Republican in the US, on the Hill in the US, you have to deny the science of climate change if you're standing for president. I don't think any Republican candidate today actually believes in science of climate change or will admit to doing so. And that is a direct result of these kinds of campaigns. And Exxon has been at the very heart of this.
And here we are in Paris, and the United States government has come to this gathering saying that there can be no legally binding deal because it cannot get a legally binding deal passed in the U.S. Senate. Is there a connection between that inability to get a legally binding deal and this campaign and this information?
Well, I think there's a direct connection because if these campaigns hadn't been running, if these lawmakers had been believed in the science of climate change, they would be fully supporting this. And it goes all the way back to the US not signing up to Kyoto in 1997. In 1995, there was a Senate vote in the US. At that point, a 95-0 vote against any action on climate change was signing up to Kyoto or international.
Do you think it's fair to say that Exxon has had a direct influence on the lack of progress at the cost?
I would say so. I would say Exxon has, yes, I would say that Exxon has had a direct influence on the lack of progress. Yeah, everybody has said, if people have spent 20 years waiting for the US to act. I think it's time, and this is one of the reasons we're waiting for the US is because of ExxonMobil acts.
Do you know if Exxon funded the Competitive Enterprise Institute? Could you briefly describe their campaign? They call it CO2 pollution, we call it life.
The Competitive Enterprise Institute was one of the, I think they had over $3 million from ExxonMobil during the funding, and they were running a coalition called the Cool Heads Coalition. The Competitive Enterprise Institute was, in 2005, they made a video called CO2, we call it life. And this is one of the lines that these runners that they say that we need CO2, we need to breathe. And this is the truth of the plant road that all these the CEO was really at the heart of this, something I helped set up an network of businesses.
Is this part of the campaign of spreading out?
That's all they do. That was their product. And I think it was in the year 2002, the Bush era, there was a communications expert, Frank Woods, and he was advising Bush that if you continue to challenge the science, as soon as the window of uncertainty closed, the public will be going for action. So it's our job to keep that going.
Are we still in that window today?
It's a bit, I think in the US, I think that window is now, I think it's not as certainly losing the foothold on the Republicans, but I think the polls are telling us that more people are believing in climate change. It's something you have to believe in. I mean, it's a science, but yeah, it is focused, but not faster.
What about the American Enterprise Institute? Did Exxon fund the American Enterprise Institute? And what sort of activities have they engaged in this spreading of that?
Right. The American Enterprise Institute is similar to the Competitive Enterprise Institute, but all these institutes think they sound, and Dick Cheney was actually on the American Enterprise Institute. There's also the American Legislative Exchange Council, which, if you don't mind if I go to that, is those, because that is actually which funds, which basically is funded by a number of fossil fuel companies, although we've managed to get to be bigger. But essentially, they put together long legislation that goes out to states in the US to undermine renewables and undermine and stop renewable legislation and other legislation to address climate change. And it looks like a legislative. It looks like a state side, it looks like an organisation that is actually set up for politicians and the governors across the US that is actually funded by the fossil fuel industry, including Exxon. They said they were going to leave.
Okay. Thank you very much for your testimony.
Please, the court, we'd like to submit a series of studies published in the last week in Nature magazine and the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, detailing the fact that Exxon's money, along with money from the Koch brothers, was at the center of a web of denial and disinformation.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we've heard so far is very disturbing. These people have shared stories, not some far-off problem, but something that is hurting their families, their friends, and their communities right now.
The crimes of this company are deeply disturbing. We've heard from the Pacific region, the Arctic, from the Himalayas, more of the impact, not the Himalayas, sorry, more of the impacts of climate change in the fossil fuel industry on people and the planet. But did Exxon know and bury the truth? How else has this company spread damage and destruction around the world? Let's continue this conversation.
That's what we need to hear. It must be a matter of public record. Courtroom audience, remember to keep tweeting out this trial with your questions for hashtag Exxonknew. We're a very modern boardroom. So we have a hashtag. Again, hashtag Exxonknew. Proceed.
Could we call, please, Ken Henshaw from Social Action Nigeria? Thank you very much for joining us here today. Could you tell us your name and your work, please?
My name is Ken Henshaw. I work with an NGO called Social Action Nigeria. I'm an environmental rights campaigner.
Nigeria is a country rich in oil.
Yes.
Has that made it a country rich and prosperous for all its citizens?
Absolutely not.
Can you explain how that's possible?
Well, Nigeria used to be an recently. It was something close to the sixth largest exporter of oil in the world. And the only people who have become prosperous due to Nigeria's oil industry have been the clique of politicians and oil companies.
Surely that can't be true. I'm looking at the ExxonMobil Nigeria homepage right now. And they say, we believe maximizing energy resources goes beyond energy production, developing human capital through education, safe foundation, transforms the future. In your experience, has that been Exxon's work in Nigeria?
Absolutely untrue. I'm sure that the majority of people who live in Nigeria have never read that thing. They'll probably go down the website.
For a long time, also in Nigeria, there's been a correlation between oil production and human rights problems. Can you tell us briefly a little bit about the story of Exxon and others in Nigeria?
That was on the 10th of November 1995. I had traveled to attend my grandmother's burial. I had just been at admission to the university. And in the midst of the celebration, someone came to me and said, Ken, so why don't you come? He was sentenced. So waiting for an appeal to be filed. The military leadership in Nigeria waits. Is the fact one. Ken had been accused of masterminding the killing of 4 police. Ken had the black whale by the oil companies. Started a movement called the Movement for the Survival of the People, calling for justice to be done. Although that's the language I know that oil has been extracted non-stop for over 50 years. It is one of the poorest communities in the entire country. The environment in that has been terribly devastated and polluted. Livelihood sources have been compromised. People have been Spanish men and farmers. The farms no longer yield. The water has been so polluted that the rivers are basically dead. Rivers, only the rivers is dead. Fish and the crabs and the nothing reached them. And this was what Sarah was protesting. And he mobilized people, series of actions were carried out. And the oil companies specifically felt that they had threatened the interest of the company. At points, oil exploration had stopped in the Ogoni land. They had stopped drilling oil in the Ogoni land. And for that, the military dictatorship
Africa is sometimes described as the continent suffering most dramatically so far from the effects of climate change. Have you begun to see those effects in parts of Nigeria as temperature rise?
Yes, we have.
Can you describe them for us?
Well, in the 19th where I believe in 2012, there was massive flooding in the Nigeria. Sea levels rose by close to 150. There about houses were completely submerged, and the entire farming season disappeared.
People are unable to plant.
Absolutely not. I mean, those who are planted will need to harvest. Everything got washed off. Completely washed off. Sea levels rose. People left their houses.
Because the rain had been so intense.
The rain became very, very intense, and surprisingly, the sea levels in the Nigeria was around the Atlantic. Sea level is like rising. It was never seen anything like that. Yeah, you never seen it. And of course, also, I'm sure maybe you may be aware that in Nigeria, Nigeria is now called a terrorist country due to Boko Haram insurgency. Now, Boko Haram exists in the region Nigeria is not known for fundamentalism in the East. But that region also happens to be around the area bordering the Chad. The Chad in the last 6 days has shrunk to 20% of its size. That lake used to be a source of irrigation for the entire region. That lake used to be where livestock drink. That lake used to support farming. That lake was the hub of fishing in the entire region. As the lake shrunk, people became desperate. People became destitute. People became criminalized. Insurgency rose, fundamentalism rose, because it was easy to recruit. So yes, we trace directly the rise of Boko Haram to factors related to climate change.
Indeed, that entire area suffers from dramatic drought that makes it difficult for naturalists and birds to see their work. Like you had people who had to change their way of life.
Oh yes, right. In the northern region where drought has become standard, and also in the Delta where fishing doesn't happen anymore and farming is no longer prosperous, that many people are taking that.
The CEO of Exxon, Rex Tillerson, said at the last annual meeting of Exxon that if climate change happens to cause any inclement weather anywhere in the world, that we would figure out technological ways to adapt to that. Have people been able to figure out how to adapt to this kind of flooding and drought that we've seen in Nigeria?
No. I mean, nobody has. I mean, basically, when it was 2012 floods happened, the oil companies inclusive went on air and asked people that should move to higher grounds, whose houses. Not even better to provide to move people. So you have to walk on the salvation by themselves. There has been nothing of substance.
When the last CEO of Exxon retired, he had a $400 million retirement package. To the best of your knowledge, has Exxon been providing compensation or benefits to people displaced by flood or drought in Nigeria?
Absolutely not. I mean, they don't consider their subsidies at all to do that. In fact, what Exxon, they say, it used to be a monthly data released by the petroleum industry in Nigeria, rating companies in terms of their levels of gas flaring. Exxon constantly talks about charts. So rather than do something about changing climate conditions, they said flaring gas. They speak to you. Gas flaring is going on the top, on the stop as we speak right now. It's most likely going to continue. This company is sitting in that.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
The CEO in 2012 said that humans have always adapted, will adapt. One of the ways that humans adapt is by moving, by migrating. Based on what you're seeing of the treatment of refugees in Europe and North America, do you believe that if Africans are forced to migrate because of climate change, that they will be welcome?
Because I don't feel so. No. To me right now, it doesn't feel so. I don't feel so at all. I don't get the impression that if for any reason people in the United States and Nigeria who are affected by climate change move, they will welcome here in Europe. I think so.
What do you feel when you hear those words from Exxon's CEO?
I really feel bad because it seems to me that there's a constipation. What people are asking to, and the regulations are becoming more and more dynamic. I mean, I can tell about the community called Border in Ogoniland. It is a place where we met, how we have assessment of the environment, and it was confirmed that benzene, I never heard the word benzene before now. The benzene, cancer-causing agent, is in the water people drink 900 times higher than it should be. People still drink that water now. It is the water I learned how to swim in, is the water I drink till now. Life expectancy in Nigeria has drastically dropped. It's Castle is something between 43 and 46 years old in agriculture. If you drive into Guadeloupe every weekend, the pastime there now are burials. What you see on each and every wall are posters announcing this burial, that burial, this burial. And every poster has got the age of the person deceased. It's hardly up to 50 years old. I'm really scared because you drink that water. So the first August I was 39 years old. His life expectancy is between 43 and 46. I'm really very scared.
Thank you for your testimony. Can you state your name and the name of your organization?
Yes, my name is Brian Barras, Houston, Texas. I'm with Texas, Texas Environmental Justice Advocacy Services.
Now, Texas is also the home state of ExxonMobil. Would you say that Exxon is a good corporate citizen in its home state? Does it care for the people who live there?
I'm assuming that. Well, I'm glad you asked that, only because actually I want to go back a little bit. A lot of people know the name Exxon, but a lot of folks don't know the name Oil. One of its derivatives, and the facility that exists in Baytown, which is 40 miles from us, is one of the largest refineries in the country right now. And the legacy of that facility is very deeply rooted in colonialism and also slavery and a lot of other issues. The land facility is actually where Santa Ana was captured. And on their tanks, the holding tanks, they actually have proudly images of the conquest. And the reason they wanted this area, Texas, was because Mexico had outlawed slavery. And so these very, very early ideas of oppression are very much rooted to this day. And I would say Exxon and the entire industry, the whole petrochemical complex along Buffalo Bayou. So,
Can you explain that further? They wanted access to that territory because Mexico had outlawed slavery. And so why did they want it?
so the settlers were coming in, and because the South had been very much affected at making large sums of money through slavery, not having to pay people who did the hard work for labor. They were worried that Texas would then become a state that would outlaw that. Or that they wouldn't be able to allow, outweigh visions of their future. So that was one of the major forces behind colonizing Texas. And so many more But no, it made me upset, it made me really upset, and it made me think, what else do they know that they're not saying? And what other questions should we be asking? You know, what do they know about the toxicity levels? What do they know about the cancers? What do they know about, you know, all of the other important things that we've been trying to get data from? Why does it take, you know, so long for us to get this information? And you know, why don't we have more students, more journalists, more folks like yourself speaking? Because when we ask the folks in the front lines that live there, you know, we don't get that information. It's really hard for us to get that information.
Thank you so much.
Sticking with the Gulf Coast, if we can add a short witness, not on our witness as we see that Sherry Hoyland from the Gulf is here as well, if she could come forward. Can you tell us your name and describe your work a little bit?
Yeah, my name is Sherry Boylan. I live in Rain, Louisiana. Mostly I work at being a mom, but when I'm not doing that, I work with BridgeGulfProject.org, and we help people along the Gulf Coast to tell their stories about social and environmental justice.
Among other impacts of the oil industry, could you explain for a moment about what's happened as they've cut channels and things through the marshes and bayous of Louisiana?
Well, what's happened is Exxon and the oil industry, the other parts of the oil industry has cut these long pipelines that go crisscross, kind of like tic-tac-toe, like a fly swatter, across our wetlands. And to date, what happens is the salt water comes up through those channels, kills the root system of the wetland, and then we have land loss. So we're losing about a football field of land an hour in South Louisiana, and we've lost 1 million football fields to the state.
And what does that mean when the sea level is rising and when storms like Katrina approach?
Well, those wetlands are our protection. They're a buffer zone for us. So when we have hurricanes like Katrina that killed over 1,000 people come up, we don't have that level of protection that we would have, and it's stronger and it's harder, and there's far more flooding. They actually soak up that water that's there. And then also you think like Houston, we live in an area where there's a lot of industrial. So whatever, like for instance, Pascagoula, Mississippi. When the water, 90% of the toxins came out into the water and also into the air, and cancer rates just skyrocketed. We already have high cancer rates.
One of the reasons I wanted just to have you appear briefly here was because I know that you've been very politically active in some of these cases. In your experience, is the oil industry an important political player in Louisiana and neighboring states?
They have a slight growth. They do, because they provide jobs, but also more importantly, they hold down our political system. So at one point we tried just recently to sue all of the oil companies, 30 oil companies, for land loss, and Bobby Jindal, basically, and Louisiana Oil and Gas Association got together, and they actually went around and had little meetings in little towns and put pictures of people, activists up on the wall and said, this is public enemy number one. Bobby Jindal lives within a few miles from the Exxon refinery in Baton Rouge, and in that area there, we have kids with high rates of leukemia, asthma, all kinds of stuff. You can see that from the Capitol. You can see the Exxon refinery, which, by the way, emits half of all VOCs, all the organic compounds that cause cancers. Half of the entire state of Louisiana comes from the Exxon refinery in Baton Rouge.
In your experience, are those associated with health problems for people in that community?
Without a doubt, and that's the northernmost tip of what we call Cancer Island. And our whole area where we live, there's high rates of, we have leukemia, we have asthma, we have all kinds of cancers, bone marrow cancer, kidney issues. I mean, even my own kids, have been sick with different sorts of issues that we can trace directly back to oil-related pollution.
As a political activist, the CEO of Exxon recently donated the maximum amount of money possible to two congressional candidates or members of Congress on the eve of an important vote. Why is it that you've not decided to donate $10,000 at a crack to congressional leaders?
I have $10,000 because, I'm busy buying sandbags to keep the water out of my door. I mean, but this had a couple more, generations here, and my whole world is gonna be completely underwater.
Do you think the political system should be open to people handing $10,000 checks?
No, I think Exxon's corporate serial killers. I think they're murderers. I think they need to go on trial, and I think the death penalty.
Thank you very much.
Sandra Steinberger, could you please come up? Sandra here? Late breaking witness. Please stand, please. Could you please state your name and your work?
My name is Sandra Steinberger. I am a PhD biologist and a co-founder and members of Concerned Health Professionals of New York.
You are a specialist in the impacts of fracking. Could you tell us about Exxon's involvement in the fracking industry in the United States?
Sure. So Exxon is the world's largest public natural gas producer. And it extracts oil and gas via fracking all over the world, particularly in the United States, but more recently it's gone after the shale gas and oil in Argentina.
We've talked a lot about local health impacts of Exxon's activities, and we'll come to that. But I also would like to ask you about the climate impacts of fracking, because we're here outside a climate conference. Sometimes natural gas gets marketed as a climate solution. Is that the case in your based on your expertise?
Natural gas is a climate problem. In fact, it's a catastrophe for the climate. So in addition to the deceptions that ExxonMobil has precipitated regarding the actual existence of climate change and the role of fossil fuels, Exxon is also implicit in promulgating the idea that somehow natural gas is a more friendly fossil fuel than the other two members of the unholy trinity, oil, gas, and coal. And they continue to perpetuate this misconception. As a member of Concerned Health Professionals of New York, we're a group of scientists, physicians, nurses, and we have watchdog the evidence for the harms and risks of fracking since 2012, following peer-reviewed scientific literature. And we've taken a look at the health harms of fracking, but also the climate harms. And, the scientific research on this is now growing exponentially. So our first iteration of this compilation, our compendium of the findings on the risks and harms of fracking, was released a year and a half ago. And there were a few hundred studies that we reviewed. Our most current issue, which we just released in October, now has more than 500 studies. And the vast majority of these, more than 85%, show risks and harms both to people and to the climate. And so for the record, I would like to read from our compendium the summary on fracking's effect.
We can submit the entire report to evidence.
So methane is, we now know, the evidence shows it's a much more potent greenhouse gas than formerly appreciated. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change estimates that over a 20-year time frame, methane can, pound for pound, trap 86 times more heat than carbon dioxide. And real-world leakage rates greatly exceed earlier estimates. In the heavily drilled Barnett Shale in northeastern Texas, methane emissions were shown to be 50% higher than earlier estimates by the EPA. Fracking operations and associated infrastructure contribute to 71 to 85% of methane emissions in the region.
Would you mind if we entered this into evidence? Do you have a copy of this?
Yes, I'd be happy to introduce this. Yep.
One final question. Since this is You've been an activist on this issue, and people often discount activists. What did the Commissioner of Health of the state of New York say last year when he announced his decision on fracking?
We announced a ban on fracking, and after the health commissioner did a careful review, and discovered that no regulatory framework could effectively prevent the leakage of methane and other harmful chemicals from drilling and fracking operations. And the science that has come out since that our health commissioner has made his announcement has only corroborated and extended that analysis.
And do you remember wasn't the phrase he used that he would not let his family live near a fracking?
That's right.
Well,
So Dr. Zucker made an extraordinary statement when the health review was released from the Department of Health, in saying that that he would not feel comfortable raising a family next to a fracking site. And therefore, given that all of the people of New York are essentially his patients, he could not advocate anyone living near there, and therefore it should not happen at all.
when you learned that the CEO of Exxon had opposed a fracking well in his neighborhood in Texas, how did that make you feel?
Well, Rex Tillerson objected to the loss of property value that fracking infrastructure would create in a very fine area where and in fact, he was right to say so. And the economic data show that when fracking comes to a community, property values go down, social blight goes up. So that's maybe the one thing Rex Tillerson is correct about.
Thank you very much.
One last question. You are a mother to children. You have written about motherhood and the responsibilities to future generations. When you learned that Exxon had been researching climate change since the 1970s, research that has been described here today as state-of-the-art, did you have a reaction as a mother or as a scientist? Up to you, or both?
I immediately had a reaction as a scientist because I myself was studying climate change and what we then called the greenhouse effect as early as 1977, when I was first introduced to it by my biology professor. So we in the scientific community have known about the reality of climate change for a long time. As a mother, I know that there's no bigger threat to my children than the dissolving climate. And the disinformation campaign, perpetuated by many, but most notably Exxon, makes it difficult for me to do my job as a mother. I believe that all tasks of parenthood fall into one of two categories. We are called upon to plan the future for our children and to keep them safe from harm. And climate change makes that impossible, makes both of those tasks impossible. So climate change, the climate crisis is really a parenting crisis, which is to say it's a human rights crisis. And for Exxon to be involved in the disinformation about the science of climate, which we in biology have known about since the 1970s, is a strike against parenthood and a strike against human knowledge and scientific progress.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
So I'll submit for the record the compendium of scientific, medical, and media findings demonstrating the risks and harms of fracking.
You are join us. Could you tell us your name and describe your work?
Yes, my name is Antonia Yumas. I'm an oil and energy analyst, the author of 3 books on the oil industry, and an investigative journalist, including numerous investigations into Exxon.
Could you describe a few of those investigations for briefly?
Most recently, I was in North Dakota on Fort Berthold and Indian Reservation, the site of 50% of all flaring in the United States. This is from oil fracking for oil. The methane releases are, through the roof. The human health consequences are truly toxic. And one of the leading operators there is XTO, which is Exxon's fracking arm, natural gas and oil fracking arm. I did an investigation for the Advocate magazine looking at the just horrific lack of equal rights in the hiring and employment practices of ExxonMobil. In fact, the worst corporate perpetrator of pure discrimination against its LGBT community, and many more investigations, many of which will be the topic of the rest of my testimony.
Some of your work has talked about the connection between the oil industry and foreign policy. And would it be safe to say that the oil industry plays an important role in U.S. foreign policy?
Absolutely, a key and crucial role.
At this point, many of the early figures, many of the prominent figures in the war in Iraq, for instance, have said that it was a war of oil. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We've seen over the last several years increasing statements by those who were deeply involved in the processes of the decision to invade Iraq, to make clear that while oil was not the only or sole objective of the war, it was a clear intention and objective of the war. And as I have reported extensively, in that objective, it was exceptionally successful.
And did Exxon play some role in this politics?
ExxonMobil is a major funder of George Bush, as well as George Bush's father. And for those here who aren't from the United States, George Bush the Jr., the longest experience he had working for the government was working in the oil sector. The only other U.S. president to come out of the oil sector was his father, George Bush Sr. They were heavily supported by Exxon and the oil industry. Bush and Cheney, the oil industry spent more money to get them into office than it had spent on any election previously. And that immediately paid off, so that the oil industry was essentially able to stop lobbying and start legislating directly. And within a week of the Bush White House, Bush taking office, Bush and Cheney taking office, and of course, Cheney, the former head of Halliburton, the largest energy services companies in the world, they started meetings as part of the Energy Task Force, which laid out America and the world's energy future. But one of the meetings that took place within the Energy Task Force was early on, this is in early 2001, looking at a series of maps and charts that were Iraq's oil fields and a list that was called Foreign Suitors to Iraqi Oil. And this was other companies in other countries that were already in negotiations with Saddam Hussein for his oil fields. And he was in negotiation with these other countries because they were members of the Security Council. And if he could convince them to drop the sanctions, he would essentially let them have access to oil. Well, nobody from those countries was in this room. This was the US and British oil companies, BP and Shell, Exxon, oil guys from within the Bush administration, oil guys from outside of the Bush administration. And they essentially began the process of planning a war. One of the objectives would be to gain access to that oil, which they did, and ExxonMobil was one of the largest beneficiaries of that war, gaining access to the West Warnow oil field in Iraq, one of the largest oil fields in the world. Essentially, a country that was completely shut to Western oil companies prior to the invasion is now the home of Exxon, Chevron, BP, Shell, with Exxon being one of the significantly large beneficiaries.
And has that led to political stability in that country?
That war, and also, of course, the invasion of Afghanistan, and the not just perception, but the reality that taking something that wasn't ours and laying claim to a resource that belonged to others was at the heart of it, led to enormous instability, but also deep anger, opposition to what had come, a fierce desire, of course, for change, and that's just looking at a fight over oil. Of course, enormous instability created from the whole host of injustices caused by oil.
You're our last witness today, and we're nearing the end of our time. So let me finish with a couple of questions as to journalists. Reading the work of other journalists at Inside Climate News and Los Angeles Times, were you impressed with the quality of the investigations of Exxon over these last weeks?
Incredible investigation, an 8-month-long investigation, digging into incredible roots and crimes, but also looking at, it wasn't just that Exxon funded deniers outside of the government. It helped push policy changes within the government to change the course of public policy inside, so that we would not have public policies that would address the climate crisis.
In your experience, is it significant that two different teams with reporters following two different trails of documents reach the same set of conclusions about Exxon's actions?
Absolutely, and these are large teams, Pulitzer Prize-winning outlets, extensive, just excellent journalists.
And one of the things that has emerged in the course of this investigation is that Exxon has been, at best, economical with the truth and perhaps deceptive. Does that fit, in your experience, with the pattern at Exxon over the decades and other issues?
Absolutely. It requires extensive work, reaching from all corners to try to get information into this, massive behemoth, which is, has been for most of our history the largest corporation in the United States, in the world. It has enormous resources to put against those trying to get information, enormous teams of lawyers, PR equipment, and an incredibly successful ability at creating a facade through which it's very difficult to reach the truth. But fortunately, we've got a lot of excellent people who have done that.
Thank you very, very much for your testimony here today.
One last question. In addition to other records, Exxon made more money than any other company in the history of money, as Bill McKibben likes to say. $42 billion in a single year. They've done it twice. Do you believe that this new research, these new revelations, cast those profits in a different light? Are those profits legitimate, in your opinion?
Again, Brian, how much time do we have?
Very little.
No, it's profit based on, first of all, absolutely breaking laws, wherever you want to point to, laws that have been broken, justice that has not been met, which has led to that profit, but also, as you said, changes in public policy as well to the corporation's benefit to allow it to take advantage of spaces where I believe simply there should not be, and making profits from those activities.
Thank you.
Your Honors, we've heard now a collection of witnesses from every corner of the planet. Perhaps, if it pleases you, a short summation from Councilor Klein and myself before your deliberations. We believe that the testimony makes it very clear that this is not just run-of-the-mill, usual corporate malfeasance. That this is not just Volkswagen turning back, resetting its exhaust controls. It's not the sort of thing that we've come to expect. Instead, this is a crime of the first order, and one that has carried the most severe implications for our planet and its future. You have heard eminent scientists claim that because of the delay in action caused by Exxon's failure to present the truth, we're going to see increases in the level of the sea, and you've heard from people who will be driven from their homes by that rise in the level of the oceans. It's hard to imagine a set of corporate practices that could have done more damage, and more damage needlessly, since Exxon knew, as we now know, early on, precisely what the problem that we faced was, the crisis that we faced. That crisis has grown over those 25 years, but over those 25 years, Exxon continued to maintain that architecture and ecosystem of denial and deception and disinformation. And for that, we ask for a judgment against Exxon and in favor of the future of this planet.
So we aren't asking you to put a price on that which is priceless. We have heard stories of lives lost directly because of melting ice. We have heard stories of ancient cultures threatened because of climate change. We have heard stories of the most reckless and discriminatory disregard for human life and human well-being and human health. It is Exxon's crime that it believes that money trumps life, trumps everything. So we aren't going to try to do the same thing. There is no price that can be placed on the Marshall Islands, on Arctic cultures, on the lives of our loved ones, on what we are unable to pass on to our children. But we have a duty to seek justice, and that is what we ask of you in rendering your verdict. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, to the witnesses who testified today, we thank you for your service. We know that the subjects you were asked to discuss are difficult. They involve the future of people and places that you love. Your willingness to testify here today helps with the push towards justice. And we hope that compensates in some way for all of the hardship involved. So we render our verdict as follows.
Given that as a court, we lack the ability to compel testimony from Exxon, we are unable to reach a conclusive finding of guilt or innocence. The majesty of the law demands, of course, that a defendant be able to offer exculpatory evidence. However, we can ask that other courts in other jurisdictions that have the power to summon this company before the law do so, and with haste. The testimony is compelling that Exxon business methods and practices have caused loss and damage to those who live nearby. The testimony is compelling that Exxon's decision to deny climate change and work against climate action has dramatically escalated one of the deepest crises humans have ever faced. The testimony is compelling that that crisis is already putting lives, cultures, and indeed entire nations at risk. A risk that will steadily grow in the years ahead.
Examinations by other authorities are able to document the pattern of abuse suggested by today's testimony, we judge that this will represent one of, and perhaps the most remarkable instance of corporate crime in human history. We note that even as we meet delegates from around the world are assembled in this city trying to work it out at this late date, some kind of governmental response to climate change, we note as well that their efforts continue to be hampered by climate denial and deception. We find the evidence persuasive and compelling that at Exxon 25 years ago merely stated publicly what its scientists already concluded, notably that climate change was real and perilous and demanded immediate action, then the world would have moved far more quickly and decisively, and extraordinary damage would have been avoided. We add in our capacity as individual judges that the burden of proof now rests squarely on this corporation to somehow prove that the documents and memos don't show what prima facie they seem to demonstrate, namely a profound disregard for the safety of the planet and its people. We render this verdict unanimously on the 5th of December 2015, the hottest year yet measured on our Earth. Yes.
Hey everybody, it's Drew Hudson from Environmental Action. You've just been watching a live trial of the Exxonknew story, prosecuted by Bill McKibben and Naomi Klein, two authors who've written extensively on the topic and featuring witnesses from around the globe impacted by climate change. I know there were some audio and visual issues in the middle. Apologies for us when we set this up at the last minute, but I hope you enjoyed this trial, and I hope you take the message that Exxon knew back to your communities. If you're watching this after on a recording on the East Coast, you can still tweet the hashtag Exxon Knew to help spread the word that Exxon is on trial and under investigation